Hello, folks. It's John, the crazy Englishman here. Blessings to you and your family. I hope that you're finding some peace in this very unstable, angry, war-torn world. Well, I say that from living in England and the UK, and I've already made a video about, from a political point of view, of why I disavow Nigel Farage as leader of the Reform Party and have decided to walk away. However, you may have your views, and that's a past video and for debate outside this video. But I've been thinking, particularly as a Catholic, is that I do believe, and I'm sure that God knows the beginning from the end, and that we can never achieve anything lasting or good just purely by political means. However, I am called, we are all called, to bring light into the world, to stand up against the oppression of the weak, and to shine the light of the gospel. As Jesus said, people will look at your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. Anyway, there's one thing that, if I was to hate any ideology above all others, it's communism and Marxism. I've followed the history of it, I've read much about it, and I've seen it in action in this country. And I just want to read just a short, if you'll gratiate me, of someone who I admired, who is now passed on and with the Lord. And it's a Russian called Alexander Solzhenitsyn. You may have heard. Well, basically, his story begins with, he ends up being, basically, he just comes back from the war at the Russian-German front, and he writes a letter to his friend, and it basically says, well, I don't agree with what Mr. Stalin, with his politics, and his friend basically stabbed him in the back and handed his letter over to the authorities. And the story goes that Alexander spent many years locked up, sent to the gulags, the frozen prisons of Siberia. But he lived to tell the story. And I just want to give you this very short passage of the foreword to the abridgment of a Gulag Archipelago, which I would strongly, strongly recommend that everyone read it. You will see things in there, and you will think of some things that are happening today, where seeds are being sown today of what happened then could happen again. So anyway, let me read it, please. If it were possible for any nation to fathom another people's bitter experience through a book, how much easier its future fate would become, and how many calamities and mistakes it could avoid. But it is very difficult. There is always this fallacious belief, it would not be the same here. Here, such things are impossible. But alas, all the evil of the 20th century is possible everywhere on earth. What a wise man. What a wise man. And what we are seeing here, bubbling up, is evils that have happened in the past. And we, the British people, have allowed to resurge in our country. And we are paying the price. But I do believe it all stems back. Just like in Russia, during the Russian Revolution, when they turned their back, or the church was suppressed, Christianity was suppressed, and this evil just dominated for years. In a different manner, in a different way, Great Britain has turned its back on its foundations, on its faith, on Christ. And we are reaping the same whirlwind. And I pray for the grace of God that we will wake up and learn from the mistakes and sins of the past. That the most evil things that have happened in the 20th century and are still happening can and will happen here on Britain's green and pleasant land if we allow it. Now is the time, if ever there was a time, to cry out to God, to ask Him to make us become lights, to bring Jesus Christ into this demonic situation. And maybe in God's mercy, England can be saved. This is John the Crazy Englishman signing off. May God bless you and keep you, your family and loved ones.